Hey there, I'm PKBeats, and yeah, you just saw Mario get KO'd starting at 0% from things that do not normally KO at that percent. This was actually a prompt by Graham Rootson that I just randomly saw in a comment not too long ago, but after testing it, it intrigued me enough to make me want to show y'all too. Normally, Pikachu's Final Smash would do about 50%, which isn't shabby by any means, but it doesn't KO even if you land the move at 30%. And the Smart Bomb does... It does... Oh my god, are you actually kidding me? And the Smart Bomb does about 27%. So even if you combine these two moves, it still wouldn't be enough percent for Pikachu's Final Smash to KO, which in and of itself is weird. But looking at the footage, you can see that Mario gets KO'd at 41%, which is before Pikachu's Final Smash ends, but after the Smart Bomb ends. Given this, there's a few hypotheses we can make about what's going on, especially considering how in some cases Pikachu's Final Smash will actually chase Mario into the top blast zone, way after he's been KO'd. So at first, all I thought was happening was that since the screen gets zoomed in for Pikachu's Final Smash, perhaps this might mess with what's considered the blast zone too, and then the Smart Bomb just launches Mario into these now smaller blast zones, thus KOing him earlier than normal. But is that what's really happening? Well, let's work with that idea and test a few other things. And first, I should mention that this also happens with Pichu's Final Smash, since they seem to be functionally identical in this case, but I'll just be sticking to Pikachu for this video. So the first thing to mention is that even if you have 2 or more players present, the screen will zoom in during Pikachu's Final Smash and thus do the early KO thing. But the thing is, the second CPU would be outside of the blast zone here, right? And yet they're obviously not being KO'd. Even if you time it to where this CPU gets hit by something during Pikachu's Final Smash, with the screen zoomed in, they're still not KO'd. So it seems that it's not exactly like the blast zones get zoomed in or anything. The effect seems to be exclusive to the person Pikachu actually hits with the Final Smash. Oh, but wait, there's more. When you use this on 2 players at the same time, every time the only one to get KO'd early is the first one Pikachu hits, and thus is, I guess, the main recipient of the Final Smash, the one who Pikachu will follow. But in doing this, I found 2 very interesting things. One, look here how Mario gets launched. Since he's getting launched horizontally this time, for whatever reason, we're able to see him get chased and attacked by Pikachu's Final Smash before the early KO happens. It's incredibly quick, way faster knockback than either of these moves normally allow, but we can sort of see it. However, a few other attempts later and I saw this. This time Mario just barely stayed within the normal blast zones, and Pikachu's Final Smash kept up with him, and right before the final attack brought him back to the original spot. All of these tests together make me think that this doesn't really have to do with the zoom in effect and blast zone changes, and we can further confirm this by just going to a huge stage, one with ceilings and obstacles and all that, and trying to replicate it. If we do it right here, we'll notice that Pikachu and Mario go way up, but no one gets KO'd. This is likely because they just get stopped by this ceiling. And if we do it here and they get launched to the wall for whatever reason, again no one gets KO'd, likely because Mario got stopped by this wall. But if we do it in just the right spot and thread the needle, Mario gets KO'd again. So basically what I think is happening is that for whatever reason, the way the Super Bump's knockback interacts with Pikachu's Final Smash, some sort of extreme knockback takes place. I guess sometimes the knockback is fast enough to where Pikachu's Final Smash doesn't even change, whereas other times the Final Smash tries to chase after it, but either way that's what I think right now. So that begs the question, does this work with other attacks? I first tried it with the Keckothedragon bomb and... apparently, yes. We get to see the same thing happen when the Keckothedragon bomb lands. Mario gets launched way further than he normally would, and thus gets KO'd. Now I tried this with quite a few other similar moves, but it was a bit inconsistent. Like the Gooey Bomb will hit and add percent to Mario, but it won't launch him. And the same is true for Electrode. Mario gets hit, but nothing happens to his knockback. But then you get to someone like Solgaleo, and this ends up working. So, rather than testing every single move in the game, I'll just say that this glitch is not exclusive to the Smart Bomb, it seems. DanishToast on my Patreon Discord also gave me a clip of his with Pichu's Final Smash, where it seems using Sephiroth's down smash is what caused the attack to get glitched out. Granted, in this case, Sephiroth's down smash would have normally KO'd Mario at that percent anyways, but we can still see that Pichu's Final Smash traveled in a really weird manner, just like in the glitch. So if you're curious about that yourself, have fun testing it out. But I think that's about all I could say regarding the glitch. But the video is not done, no, we got plenty of more neat stuff to talk about. Like for example, this sound glitch that Smash Mario Pro 2000 told me about, regarding the ice climbers and a few items. I really like this one. So see the footage here? I have the volume all the way down. Want to hear what it's like when I turn it up? Yeah, that's the sound of 7 beetles going on at the same time. The setup is insanely simple. You just need these 2 items and the ice climbers. Throw Boss Galaga, and then grab the primary ice climber so that the secondary ice climber is the one to get grabbed by the item. Then when they're about KO'd, throw the beetle at the primary ice climber. And that's it. The sound of the beetle flying will linger around. And as you saw before, this can keep stacking over and over again. Now here in training mode, I can only do 7 of these, as after that I can only spawn 1 more item. What this means is that the beetles from before are still active, as in training mode for most items you can only have 8 out at a time. So we can only do it 7 times here. But let's test some other things in a normal match. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, but the game's going to crash if you try to leave the match after you do this. It's not even a proper crash, it just straight up soft locks. So you gotta quit the game from the home menu. See, normally in something like training mode, if you restart when only 1 beetle is stuck flapping its wings, the sound will just go away and everything is good. But the moment you have 2 beetles flapping their wings, or more than 2, when you restart training mode, the game just stops working, and again forces you to close it from the home menu. This already makes it one of my favorite types of glitches, as it's not only easy, but super loud and annoying, and it crashes your game. I mean, what more could you want? Anyway, back to what I was doing before. You can do this in a real match too, very easily. I'm giving ice climbers a handicap, but that's just to make testing a little bit easier since they need to have enough percent to where they'll get KO'd by the beetle and stuff. And I did it a bunch in a real match, and I was actually able to get 9 beetles stuck in flight, rather than 7. Meaning, while training mode only allows a maximum of 8 items at one time, a real match will allow 10. And I don't know how noticeable it is for you watching, but I definitely felt my game take a pretty big hit in terms of performance. This in and of itself is funny, but if we go into the camera and look up really high, we can see the beetles. They're just sitting super high up, stuck in place, flapping their wings. Which makes perfect sense, all things considered. Now, I did want to try and hit them, but I didn't have the characters or items to make that easy, so I had to go back and change that, and... oh hey, it's actually a proper crash this time. I guess because it's 9 beetles instead of 7, the game just fully can't handle it. Anyhow, getting a better setup ready, I got 3 beetles stuck in the sky and gave ice climbers the bunny hood, and when I jumped up there, I was actually able to grab one of the beetles. You can see it in the primary ice climber's hand, still flapping, which definitely isn't normal. Here, when I throw it to the side, things seem to be fine. I went up to get another one, this one not even fitting properly in ice climber's hand. But this time I tried to throw it at Hero, and the game crashed. What's weird is that before, when testing it, I grabbed it and instantly threw it since I wasn't expecting to grab it. And when I did this, the game soft locked instead of crashing. So I guess there's layers to all this or whatever. Now, if you do this setup with 2 separate characters, nothing strange happens. But if you're keen, you might have noticed something different too. The one attacked by the beetle here gets just KO'd, while before, with the ice climbers, they both get star KO'd. And if you're especially knowledgeable about this game, or have watched my videos, you might have noticed that even this is weird. It can't happen in training mode, but normally when you get KO'd with the beetle, you're forced into a screen KO. And this happens every time, just like how the boss Galaga forces a star KO. It's a quirk about the items. So then why would the primary ice climber be getting star KO'd with the beetle? And I think the explanation is just, they're coded oddly around their secondary ice climber counterpart. And because the secondary ice climber was getting star KO'd, they too got star KO'd. And since the beetle isn't programmed to be animated for star KOs, it just gets stuck. We can sort of confirm this if we mix up the order of operations here, and have the beetle primary ice climber get KO'd before anything else. The beetle works just fine here, so that's pretty neat. And apparently this glitch has been in the game since day 1, so I'm kinda curious about how much longer it can stay around. If it gets patched out pretty soon, then maybe someone related to Nintendo is watching? If that's the case, can the final DLC fighter please be Chad Meme Man? Thank you. Anyhow, I guess at this rate, this is a glitches episode, huh? Alright, well next up, Dino Nugget Gamer mentions a funny little visual glitch involving sudden death in Pac-Land. That is, if you get into sudden death on Pac-Land and go far enough, you'll actually start to notice that the fire that normally surrounds the screen is lagging behind. Now unfortunately, it's a bit difficult to last very long in this scenario, so I can't really see it go that much farther. But hypothetically, if you were to keep going in Pac-Land's sudden death, the fire may be completely offset, which is pretty funny. But for now, all I can really show you is this little bit, which is still pretty funny. Next up, Willie the Terry on Twitter made a very interesting post regarding Quickplay's GSP numbers. If you go into the Quickplay menu and look at the bottom right of the screen, you'll notice that the date and time is recorded. If you do this, you'll notice that the time says 5:21 PM here, or any number in 21 minutes, despite the fact that I'm recording this at 5:38 PM, and you're probably seeing it at not 21 minutes. What this suggests is that the game updates on the 21st minute of every hour. And 1 hour later, while at exactly 6:21 PM nothing changed, a few minutes later it did. Now it says 6:21 PM down here, and you'll see that my roster GSP has actually gone down by almost 40 points. Which makes sense considering how I've barely touched Elite Smash in like 2 years. For people who frequently play it, the number will probably go up. So basically every hour around the 21st minute, the game's GSP system will update and just naturally adjust your numbers. I'm not sure if this will happen while you still have this menu open. You might need to go back a menu beforehand for it to update. Next, Mudthick gives me a pretty funny prompt regarding some cutscene final smashes and the Dragoon or Daybreak pieces. That is, if you use a final smash like Shulks or etc. on a character who has Dragoon or Daybreak pieces, it's possible for the piece to fall out during the final smash. And when this happens, you can actually see them. It's really quick, but look, you can see the piece right here. And looking at Incineroar's final smash, we can see a piece very briefly right here. And another piece right here. It's a pretty small detail, but I think it's pretty funny. And for all the pieces that go away during the final smash, they'll respawn a few seconds later, as if they, like fell into the blast zone. Note that in training mode, these items wouldn't spawn like this unless that was the case. Speaking of Dragoon though, Doc Cero gives me a very brief prompt regarding Banjo and Kazooie and Dragoon, where if they collect all the Dragoon pieces, when they land the attack, Kazooie will be waving at the camera. And, well, that's about it for that one. I just think details like that are fun. They'll be making the same pose when they use the Warp Star too, but the effect of it is less natural. And lastly for today's video, ironically, Dragoon gives me a fact about Pyra and Mythra on the Boxing Ring stage. That is, as you probably know, you can break the lights on the Boxing Ring stage simply by jumping on them, applying weight. However, if you merely switch between Pyra and Mythra, this too acts like something that can break the lights. My guess being that since Pyra and Mythra are different weights, perhaps the game sees this change of weight as something akin to jumping on the light and is thus affected by it. And likewise, if you switch Pokemon on top of the lights, that too will send it crashing down. So that's pretty neat to know. I was also curious if the number of times you had to jump in order to break the lights was something that changed with your weight. And for Squirtle, who is light, it takes 17 total jumps to break the lights. But for Charizard, who's, heavy, it takes a total of 11 jumps to break them. So that probably confirms that too. And I think that's it for today's very amazing video. I'd like to thank my amazing patrons Skully, Sashanks, Burbo, Hobo King, Niklz, Raighne, Sylvian700, TheRealFxdeYT, BG, Danplay, Feurolant, Keckothedragon, Nestor Franco, blizwald, DanishToast, Gabrielle, Gaby, Jigs, Narf2043, RustyRantsYT, Skye, and Stan, LOONA. The days keep going by, and we still get to eagerly await the final DLC for Smash Ultimate. Now, I know that, realistically and more reasonably, expectations of this final DLC character shouldn't really be too high. It's possible that the final character is just some normal character that just happens to be last in the roster, But with all things considered, like how this is the ultimate Smash game with all characters in it, potentially and reasonably being Sakurai's last Smash game, with the final DLC and a fighter pass that just so happens to have one more slot than the previous one, I also can't help but be a little bit excited, Regardless of what happens though, I'll be here to make videos about that character. What happens after that, I don't know. We'll see where life takes us, So tell me down in the comments who you want to be the final DLC. And also who you think most deserves that final spot, if, they're not the same character. This is going to be the last time we're going to be able to speculate about Smash stuff for who knows how long. So let's try to enjoy the process while we can, With that, keep up the good work, stay casual, and I'll see y'all later.